The author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America, Gordon Chang. So, Gordon, so much of the back and forth we see right now seems to be, well, I guess saving face. China wants to insist that we called them. They insist they called us. I mean, it's a back and forth. Is this where we really are and what's stopping us from getting to the table?
I think what's stopping us from getting to the table is Xi Jinping's intransigence. He has, for the past half decade, based his legitimacy on surpassing the United States. So it's very difficult, Mark, for him to admit that China is dependent on U.S. trade, and he can't be seen to giving in to the United States. So this really is important for him to say that President Trump blinked first, which is going to be the Chinese narrative. And I think we're going to see China be extremely difficult in these trade negotiations, as they always are, but perhaps more difficult now.
But it seems to me that that America is on a better footing to be able to withstand a trade war. China needs us, our marketplace, our consumers, more than we need them.
Absolutely. U.S. consumers account for, 38, 39% of global consumer spending. This is a market that China cannot replace, especially because Xi Jinping, because he's turned his back on consumption as being the fundamental basis of the Chinese economy, now relies on exports to be that fundamental basis. And he can't replace the U.S. Now, also, we are the trade deficit country, which means we've got all of the tools in a trade war. We're the bigger economy. China's economy right now is contracting. We saw the first indications from April. Xi Jinping just really has only one card, and that's to persuade the American people to get President Trump to preemptively surrender. And I don't think our president is going to do that.
Yeah, I think you alluded to that. I mean, we saw, obviously, earlier this week, the government reported that the GDP, gross domestic product, basically the economy, basically shrank ever so slightly in very preliminary numbers here at home. But factory production in China fell to its lowest level in 16 months. I mean, that's the engine that keeps China going. I mean, the Daily Caller's reporting riots are starting to erupt in China over factory closures, lost paychecks. How long can Xi Jinping hold on to this?
Xi Jinping's a tough guy, so he can take China off the cliff. But even before those disastrous April factory numbers that you talked about, China was in a deflationary spiral. We saw this from February and March price numbers. That means the Chinese economy is in real distress. But Xi Jinping doesn't care. He's like his hero Mao Zedong. He can do things which everyone else believes are irrational. So this could be a very difficult time for China. They want to talk, I suppose. But the point is, Xi Jinping right now is going to put a barrier to any real negotiations for quite some time, if not forever.
In what could be shown as a victory for President Trump, at least partial victory, as Chinese exports slow, U.S. companies like Apple are relying on India and Vietnam to make their products. So as we go through this trade debate, we have options. China doesn't really have those options available to them.
Right. I mean, companies are moving their supply chains. Apple is saying that now most, if not all, of its production for the U.S. will be made in India. That used to be 100% China. We're seeing other companies with easier to move supply chains have moved out. China right now is in a very difficult position. And when you look at the broad trends of manufacturing, which is basically AI and automation, robots, those favor the United States. So long term, we're in a very good position, and China is not. This is a very important story in terms of the way the world is working. And in a period of deglobalization, which we're in, a trade-dependent China is in a world of hurt.
And since you've said it, that we are in a better position, that means China either has to get there or steal it.
They steal $500 billion, with a T, $500 billion U.S. dollars of our intellectual property every year.
Yep. That's the warning. All right, be ready. Gordon Chang, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Mark.
All right.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.